Welcome to my hip opening session. We're going to be working on this area predominantly, but we're also going to be activating our abductors, the inside of our groin, and also the outside of our thigh, our adductors. So we're going to start off in a nice lunging position, but we're going to challenge ourselves getting into this position. So hands on the hips, take a big step forwards with that right foot, making sure your feet are hip width apart, so it helps with balance and stability, and then slowly lowering your left knee down towards the mat. Bending that front knee as we go. You might need to adjust your foot stance, lengthen it out as we go. Trying to sit upright, maybe hovering just briefly off the mat, and then slowly touching the mat with that left knee. Dropping those back left toes, walking that right foot out in front of you, slowly deep diving down into this nice lunging position. Really working on that left hip flexor and also the mobility of the right hip area. Just pulsing here for 3, 2, 1. If you can, taking your hands down towards the mat, otherwise just keeping your hands on top of your leg, maybe resting your elbows on if that's more comfortable. But what we're going to do is we're going to start to try and move that right knee around the top of our ankle, so making some nice big circles here. For 3, 2, 1, changing direction. For 3, 2, 1. Good. From here, again, you can have your hands either on the mat or on that knee. We're going to start driving that right knee out with that right hand. So I'm going to grab just underneath the knee on the thigh. For 3, allowing my sole of my foot to come up. 2, 1. Good. From here, I'm going to sit up, draw that right foot back, and I'm just going to rotate inwards now. So you can be holding onto the wall behind you or onto the floor. Just going to do a little bit of internal rotation, allowing the sole of your foot to reach off the mat. 2, 1. Good. Taking that right leg out the side of you now. You can starting to work your way down, so your bottom down towards the mat. Otherwise, staying in a sort of variation of an upright position. Moving around. Placing your hands on the floor if you can, and just moving your hips in nice circles around that left bent leg. For 3, if you're sat upright, you can do some nice hip rotations. 2, 1, try the other side. Try and make those circles nice and big. 3, 2, 1. Now, with either your hands down on the mat or on your hips, try and lift those right toes up towards the ceiling, challenging that left leg and hip position. And then try keeping your foot going round towards the back of the room, so your little toes working towards the mat. You won't be able to get all the way there unless you're super, super mobile, but just that whole motion there can help you with opening up that hip area. 3, 2, 1. Taking your hands back in front of you, bringing that right leg in, switching sides. So we're going to take that left leg out in front of us, slowly working down into a nice deep position. Moving around, being gentle with yourself, allowing your body to adjust as you go. From here, we're going to make some nice big circles with our left knee over our left ankle for 3, 2, 1. Back the other way for 3, 2, 1. Finding some stability here, either on the mat with your hands or on your leg, driving that left leg out or that left knee out towards the left-hand side of the room. I find it easier with my hand down. It's up to you. For 3, 2, last one, 1. Draw that left foot back towards that right knee and go internally now, allowing the sole of the foot to lift off the mat for 3, 2, 1. Good. Taking that left leg out nice and wide now. Again, just working that position. 3 nice circles. 1 way, 2, 1, and then going back the other way for 3, 2, 1. Good. Lifting up those left toes. Really trying to drive your left foot around towards the back of the room. Feeling that in the hip area. Maybe down the side of the leg as you go. For 3, wiggle it around. 2, 1. Good. Allowing that foot to drop, bringing both your knees in together and moving yourselves onto your bottom. So making sure we've got both our sit bones nicely on the floor, that we're sort of not overly over to one side or the other, dropping those shoulders, taking both those feet out in front of us, taking our hands behind our bodies, and we're going to take our feet mat width apart or maybe a couple of foot apart, and we're slowly going to drop our knees towards the right hand side of the room. So as we do so, you will feel your left butt cheek lifting off the ground. That's absolutely fine. Just do it in a nice and slow and controlled movement. 3, same side. 2, 1. Switching over onto the other side, so keeping those feet in place. You might find one side is tighter than the other. That's fine. Just be mindful of it. Maybe work on it when you're doing your mobility before your exercise. 2, 1. Good. From there, we're going to sit up, take our hands off the floor, bring the soles of our feet together, walk our heels towards our groin. If it's comfortable, holding onto your ankles or your shins or your toes, and slowly try and drop your knees towards the mat. We're just opening up the groin area. As you do so, you can use your hands to really pull your belly towards your feet, but try and open up your chest. So try and lift your chest up so you're not too curved in the spine. This is just really good for when we're breathing. So instead of being here, just trying to lengthen out our backs, also adds a little bit more tension to the hip area. You might find that your knees are up here and you're like this. As long as you're in control and you're mindful about your positioning, it's absolutely fine. We're trying to find a little bit of a pull on the hip area. Just work with how you're feeling today. If you're feeling really good, then you can just move one side in and then the other side, almost rocking from side to side. For 3, 2, 1. Good. From this position, we're just going to move ourselves onto our backs, walking our feet up towards where our bottom is. So our knees are about hip width apart. I'm going to take my right leg and pop it up towards the ceiling. It's going to pull on the hamstring, but we're not going to stay here for too long. I'm going to bend my knee and take my right ankle over the top of my left knee. So almost like a big cross legs. It's called figure 4. Taking my right hand, I'm going to place it just on my thigh below my knee and just drive my knee out towards the back of the room. For 3, maybe walk that left leg in or foot in towards my bottom. 2, 1. Slowly bring your right knee to your chest if you can. Giving yourself a little bit of a hug and a wiggle. And then dropping it down. Other side. So left leg up towards the ceiling, nice pull on the hamstring. Bending the knee. Placing the left ankle on the top of the right thigh. Left hand on the left thigh just below the knee. And slowly pushing down. I'm much tighter on one side than the other. You might well be as well. Just be mindful of it. For 3, maybe walking that right foot in towards the bottom. 2, 1. Good. From here, we're just going to take that left knee in towards the chest. Then we're going to bring the right knee in towards the chest. And we're going to try and drive our knees either side of our torso. I'm going to grab hold of my big toes, but you might not find that successful. You might want to hug onto your thighs here. You might want to hold your shins. Try not to do too much around the knee area. We don't want to put excessive force on it. So we're coming into this nice position here, grabbing hold of my big toes and slowly driving my hips either side of my torso. Again, I'm just going to move from side to side. It's a really lovely position when you find what works for you. Keep breathing here for 3, 2, 1. Good. Releasing those hands, allowing those legs to go up nice and direct above your torso. And then slowly bending those knees, dropping those feet down towards the mat. Taking your feet now mat width apart, or just widen mat width apart. You just have to play around with this. Trying to make sure they're relatively in line with each other, so one's not in front of the other. In line. And then what we're going to do is we're slowly going to drop our knees in towards each other. You'll find that your knees might not touch depending on your mobility. You're going to feel a pull all around that hip area, maybe into the glutes, maybe in the inside of the groin. And again, if you'd like to and it feels comfortable, you can just move one knee in and then the other knee, nice and slowly and gently, not too much. For 3, 2, 1. Slowly heel toeing your feet in together, coming back up into a nice seated position and finishing up there. I hope you enjoyed that session or found it helpful. Hip mobility does come with just a little bit more practice. So just bear with it and just make sure you don't push anything too much. It's all about mobilizing rather than overstretching. Thanks very much and see you on the next session.